Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this most influential sports talk show in the country. Got John Restano coming in 30 minutes past the hour. Big story out of Boston. Kristaps Porzingis possibly could be traded to the Celtics tonight. I think it's a home run if it can be pulled off. Of course, it all comes down to him, whether he wants to opt in or not. I'll get into that in a little bit. Plus, a few thoughts on this Scoot Henderson and Victor Wembanyama. We'll get into that, like I said. And then, of course, I'll 30 minutes past the hour have John Restano from Spitballin' Sports come on. And I want to ask him a little bit about the Buffalo Bills situation that keeps getting weirder by the day and more. Stand by. We'll take our first and only break. And I'll be back here in 49 seconds here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then, I'm back here live. So there's a big trade pending. Kind of like when you buy a house, between the time you like the offer and the time it closes, you get the big pending sign. This is from Adrian Wojciechowski plus Shams Charania out of The Athletic, stating that the Celtics are involved in a potential 3-team trade where they would trade Malcolm Brogdon, Gallinari. Now, remember, Gallinari is a guy who was hurt last year. He got hurt last year. And, of course, Clippers would get him. Now, the Wizards, who have Porzingis now, will get the 30th overall pick. Marcus Morris, I guess he would come over from the Clippers. And, of course, Amar Coffey. Okay, let me say this, Corey. This is one of those situations with Kristaps Porzingis, somewhat similar to Aaron Gordon. Both drafted in the top 5, playing for Washington, bounced around the league. A lot of great players who are projected to become good when they're drafted. They get hurt early, Corey. And we lose faith in them. And we just talked about guys like Jamal Murray, who come back from injury. People kind of lost faith in him. Go back to Steph Curry. Even Kevin Durant had injury problems early on. A very thin, frail guy, kind of grew into his NBA body. And we know what happened. He turned out to be okay. Porzingis, he tore his ACL a few years ago. A little disappointing in New York. Didn't quite work out with Dallas and Luka Doncic. But here's my thing. Number one, Corey, this Boston team can use a guy that can score inside. That was the big criticism in the playoffs. They took way too many threes. But let's go back to Porzingis. This is some stuff I found off the internet. Just scanning today, offensively. This website, their Twitter feed, but they also got a website. It's called StatMuse, MUSC. As a Nick, Porzingis 17.8 points a game, 7.1 rebounds a game, 2 blocks. As a Maverick, those stats go up. 20 points a game, 8.8 rebounds a game, 1.7 blocks. As a Wizard, goes up even more. 22.9 points a game, 8.5 rebounds a game, 1.5 blocks a game. Also, he really plays well in the pick and roll. I found this off Twitter as well. If I can find this guy, he wrote down some stuff here. Kevin O'Connor, the NBA, I think he's one of these NBA experts, stat guys, analytic folks. He says Kristaps Porzingis stats from his career best season. He's coming into his own, okay? Points allowed per pick and roll. Defensively, the top guys are Anthony Davis, Steven Adams, Giannis, and yes, Kristaps Porzingis is number 4 in the whole NBA. One of the best drop pick and roll defenders in the NBA, and on offense, top post scorers. Number 1, Kristaps Porzingis. Last year, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, and Pascal Siakam. Figure out how to score from the post and from the perimeter, attacking closeouts, what he puts out. So this guy's been flying under the radar. Washington is kind of like, I mean, really, they haven't even had the success of a Orlando. You know, I joked around the other day about Orlando being the NBA Siberia. You can throw the used to be Washington Bullets. Now they're the Washington Wizards in there. So this guy's a diamond in the rough here. And, you know, I looked back at his stats here. And also, you got to compare him to some of their other bigs. Look at Al Horford's Porzingis, 23 points a game, 8.4 rebounds, 2.7 assists. That's last year. Look at Al Horford last year, okay? 9.8 points a game, 6.2 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, that is a big – that's more than double the points distribution from Al Horford compared to Al Horford, the 30 – will be 37-year-old now. Obviously, I'm reading that maybe Grant Williams may be gone. And my thing is maybe Horford to be gone. Now, he's only making about $9 million next year. I mean, you're going to keep Robert Williams. Obviously, he's a very young player, and rotate these guys in. I don't know how they're going to figure this thing out. All of this depends on the fact that Porzingis is scheduled to make over $36 million this coming up season. This is what Adrian Wojciechowski said about him possibly opting out, and the whole thing falling apart. Now he could be a free agent, and I wouldn't want to go to a championship contender team. This could really potentially put Boston over the top. I'm not one of these hyperbolic, over the top people. I'm just looking at the actual facts. This is Adrian Wojciechowski today talking about this potential trade.
What more can you share with us about this 3-team deal?
Al, yeah, there's still more work and more conversation to be had on that 3-team deal, but they have until midnight for Kristaps Porzingis
11 o'clock our time
to meet his deadline on his $36 million option for next season. Either he opts in and then he goes to Boston potentially as part of that trade, or he could opt out, become a free agent. I'm also told Danilo Gallinari would be part of that deal from Boston to Washington. The important part for the Wizards, that 30th overall pick in tomorrow night's draft That would give them picks at number 8 and number 30, but still more work to do among those 3 teams before they have an agreement on a deal that would potentially give the Clippers also, a starting level veteran point guard in Malcolm Brogdon, something they have really been yearning for the last couple.
Now, if you're Boston, you still got Derek White. You can pick up somebody off, waivers or something like that. So, but you put up Porzingis, and I was reading the potential here. If I'm Porzingis, I'm going to go to a championship team. $36 million. Do I take a chance and try to get a long-term deal out of Boston and do something like that? Jaylen Brown's possibly going to get this super max deal. I'm hearing a lot of crazy stuff here right now. But I tell you what, though, Porzingis is trending. I just read to you how he's been trending upwards. So I'm reading a potential starting lineup here. Let me make sure I got this, not get too far ahead of myself. But this is the kind of piece that a team like Boston, who is lacking that inside scoring, StatMuse said, here's the potential new roster for the Celtics: Porzingis, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Marcus Smart, Al Horford, Robert Williams. Now, I don't know if Horford's going to stay there or not. You got some size. You've got some defense there. You got a guy that can defend the pick and roll there. He can play the pick and roll. They take way too many threes last year. Quite frankly, that's the problem, even when they had Ime Udoka as a coach there. So you got to look at Boston. They've hired multiple new assistant coaches, including Sam Cassell. They brought a guy in from Duke. This team is really trying to up their smarts here. I'm glad that they brought in a Sam Cassell. I would have maybe taken a chance on making Cassell, 3-time NBA champion, been assistant since 2009, an assistant coach there as the head coach. That being said, bringing in the 53-year-old, work with the guys. I really hope for the Boston Celtics and the NBA that this particular trade goes through. If it does, we will know by midnight Eastern. If it don't, maybe Porzingis says, you know what, I'll sign with them as a free agent. You can keep those players. But then again, he may want too much money. So hold your breath for, I don't know, less than 3 hours, Corey. So this is a big deal here coming up out of Boston, potentially, and I've got John Restano here. He has showed up a little early, but I'm really excited about this particular trade. I'll go ahead and ask him, hey, John, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, Robert?
I was pretty excited. There's some Boston fans that watch my program. Porzingis is one of those guys. My take is he's been in NBA Siberia with Washington. He is slowly, kind of like Aaron Gordon, kind of like Joker, who just won a championship, gotten a little bit better every year, myself included. People kind of wrote him off. He got injured early in his career. And I just read some stats. He's better on the pick and roll. His stats and rebounds have gotten better every year, particularly last year playing over 60 games. What are your thoughts on this potential blockbuster trade? He could still opt out, by the way, by midnight between this 3-team deal, man. This is crazy.
Yeah, and I think he fits perfect there. He seems to fit very well. I mean, he could probably play power forward, center. He help Williams out, I would figure, get some pressure off of him. That guy seems to get hurt, a little bit. He's kind of a little fragile. I think that'd be helpful. But I like it. You know what? It's funny. I've always liked Porzingis. It's not his fault the Knicks drafted him like they did. It really isn't. It's not his fault. He is who he is. He got hurt. The only thing I'll say is I think he's done well on bad teams. So it'll be interesting to see how he does on a good team, right? He's gonna have to get used to not having the ball that much, which might be okay. I mean, I think it's a perfect fit. I mean, how could it's really as perfect as a fit as I thought the Suns trade was. Like, it's almost to me a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't you if you're the Celtics? That's my mindset on that. And he just takes some of the pressure off some guys. And what's he average, like 23 a game this year?
Yeah, that's just about perfect what you said. Yeah, 22.9, 8.5 rebounds. I just read this. Check this out. As a Knick, 17-8. As a Maverick, 20 points a game. As a Wizard, and he's played over 60 games, 22.9. And his rebounds are right around around 9 rebounds a game. Man, I don't know why they don't want to use him the way Denver uses the Joker. My big thing about Boston, they take way too many threes. Even with Ime last year, Ime Udoka, the other coach, they need some inside play. Bring back the mid-range game, man. And he's one of the best pick and roll defenders and one of the best pick and roll executors. What I was reading off of the internet today too. But who would have known he's playing for Washington? They're terrible.
I know, and they've been bad my whole life. I can't remember them being good. Honestly, can you? I can't.
NBA Siberia.
Yeah, he's got to be excited. I mean, he's looking for a championship, I'm sure, and it's all right there. It's perfect fit. I mean, you're right, and he's like the tallest NBA guy he's the tallest until this new guy gets drafted. I believe he might be the.
Oh my God, man! I've been hearing so much hype on Wembanyama. I'm buying into some of it, dude.
Did you see him throw out the first pitch?
Yeah, well, he was terrible at that, you know.
His hands were too big for the ball. He needed like 3 balls to throw or something.
It looks like he was throwing out a golf ball because his hands are so freaking big, man.
You know, doesn't he look like Ralph Sampson to me?
Yes.
His physics, his face, everything about him reminds me of Sam. I don't know. I hope he may have a better career, but he just looks like that to me. But I'm buying in. I can't wait to see. But Porzingis, I think, what a new lease on life for the guy to win a title, be really good over there, stop shooting the threes like you said. I mean, it should be perfect. It should be a perfect fit.
Yeah. Now he's got till midnight Eastern. You know, Corey, my friend Corey's he's a big Celtics fan. I may stay up until 11 o'clock Central just to see Twitter or Adrian Wojciechowski with ESPN and see if he doesn't opt out of that $36 million. Why don't you go prove yourself, take $36 million, go win a championship with Boston, and then cash your check next year?
Yeah, no. How old is he? I don't know.
He's
how
like
old
27. He's still pretty young, man.
Wow. Yeah, he's relatively young then. For some reason, because of the injuries and stuff, I just feel like he's in his 30s. And it feels like he's been around forever, you know?
A lot of these guys come in at 19, man.
Yeah, and he wasn't ready in New York. You know, what a shame what happened in New York with him. But this here is just set up, you know, perfectly for him to have a I mean, you got him and it'll be Brown, him and Tatum. I mean, sounds like a good perfect fit in Boston for him. And the way he plays, it's all, like you said, the pick and roll thing, defending, and it's going to be good. I think it's exciting.
28 in August, man. And I'm thinking I've got these visions of him and Marcus Smart and setting up the high pick and roll. He can be a poor man's Joker, throwing that ball around. I mean, it's going to look good up there if this thing goes through. It
should look really good. And like I said, it feels like the Phoenix Suns deal. When I first saw that, I'm like, this is a no-brainer. How do you say no to this if you're Phoenix?
Oh, my God. You know what? My thing about that Bradley Beal thing is it almost seems too good to be true. They didn't give up anything to give him. He only played 60 games. He hasn't played 60 games in 5 years, John. Are you concerned about that? That maybe Phoenix got a bill of goods here? Yeah,
I don't know. I'm pretty excited to see that. I mean, I thought they only gave up Shamet and Paul. I mean, it was really
right. A couple second-round picks. It was like a steal, man. I know he's got a really high contract, though.
Yeah, and if he can, you don't need, again, he's in the same position kind of Porzingis, you don't need so much out of him, really. You just need someone who can. They couldn't make a three. They couldn't. Remember, they were having a hard time. If it wasn't Booker, it was nobody. Man, it just. And then I like the new coach. What are they going to with Vogel? I kind of curious. Does he fix Jesus, why is his name the center? Why is his name?
Ayton. I think
Ayton.
yeah, and I've been reading that, Ayton's been talked about, and I'm thinking, why fix Ayton? Why trade Ayton? Keep Ayton there. Play him in the middle there. Get him some touches early. This guy used to coach Roy Hibbert. Look what he did with Anthony Davis. I mean, they need a rim protector. These guys Durant don't want to mix it up at 35 and get in the middle like that.
And he's fragile, right? I mean, you can see it. His legs look very. I don't know what's going on there. I hope he stays healthy, because it sucks when he goes down. When he goes down, I mean, you want to see it. These guys play together. But I mean, Ayton. The only thing about Ayton, this is why I think Vogel was such a good choice to move on from Monty.
Yeah,
that guy Monty just never seemed on the court to ever have emotion at all. I mean, he wouldn't yell at a ref. He wouldn't do anything. Vogel's going to be different. And I think Ayton just needs a kick in his butt, because that's what it doesn't it sometimes it appears to me he's just too mild mannered. I don't know what it is. He just seems very lackadaisical or something.
Yeah, but Jason McIntyre, he made an observation. He says that he's like that receiver. If you don't get him involved early, he kind of daydreams out there. Well, I would feed him the ball early and run some type of when you got the shooters like they got, man. Get him the ball in the paint, throw it back. Play a little inside-out game when you've got Bill.
Booker?
God. Yeah.
Booker, Durant. I mean,
Booker, Durant, you got them kind of shooters out there. They could probably run some type of triangle, somewhat of a triangle offense, and get him the ball early. And even if it's just for a dunk or something like that, he's a really true. Every game I've seen him play was good, But it was against Dallas and stuff. But it was, he's a true rim protector.
And the way Booker started playing, he goes to the basket now. There's no reason why they shouldn't. I mean, I know they got to do some depth stuff and all that.
Yes,
that team should be they should be even closer than they've ever been in my mind, because his ability to decide to go to the basket like he did last year. His playoff was if they could have just advanced, he was having one of the best. We talked about this, one of the best playoffs in modern NBA history with the way he was playing.
From game 2 in that Clippers series, he was balling out there for about 5 games.
Yeah, when he decided finally to just go to the basket, he's tough to handle, and he's not a bad defender when he's on the ball. I think it's when he's off the ball. He's a little bit, but when he's on it, he's on it. I don't know. I like that.
He's been better since he's been separated from the Kardashian girls.
I
love everybody,
I really like the coaching change. I thought that was huge. Getting Vogel in there was a smart. I'm not saying he's that great. It's just you need someone with a little intensity. I'm not saying Monty wasn't. I'm glad I heard about him and his wife, so that's kind of with the cancer and
he's a feel-good kind of coach, and you pull for him as a person. But man, they were blown out really bad year before last in that last game, and you're right. He's too passive. He's a great guy, but I don't know if he's that guy to get you over the hump. Vogel. I mean, it wasn't Vogel's fault that the Lakers took in Westbrook. He won the championship with them, didn't he?
Yeah, he was great.
Look what he did with Roy Hibbert. I mean, he's a very underrated coach, man.
He is, and it's going to be good for them to have a new. I think of this all the time. There's other teams in different sports. You sometimes just the new voice is important. I guess a new way to go, a new way of doing things, and I think Monty he's over in Detroit, I guess, and that that might be good. Yeah. That's going to be a young kind of team.
Very young team. He can stabilize the environment a little bit.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be on their, beyond them too much. And I like what Phoenix doing. I love Boston. This Porzingis thing came out of nowhere, and it was great. And the NBA is they're really staying in the news, right? I mean, this is.
I did not expect all this to happen, and then there's still talks about, the Scoot Henderson, and I was going to make that. You came on a little earlier, but this guy that is possibly could go number 3 to Portland. He's played this semi-pro league in America for 2 years. Elite league. He signed in 2021, skipped his senior year in high school, and he looks very ready-made, kind of like Luka, right?
Yeah.
So maybe he starts a new trend. Do you think that Portland can keep Lillard there? That's what I'm reading. Or do you think maybe I would like to see him get dealt to Miami personally, but that's just me.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that situation, man?
I know it's everything I read, but a lot of times the players say this. Seems like he wants to stay, right? I mean, everything I've read, Lillard wants to stay, but that's said a lot. In Miami, that would be great because I know Butler has been trying to recruit him. I guess I've been reading that. I can't imagine why he wouldn't want to go down there. These guys are, some of them have different type of personalities, but I would figure that's a no-brainer. You go down there. I mean, beautiful, right? You got no tax, you got the whole thing. Everything's beautiful.
You're adding 25 points a game too. I mean, that's pretty good. If you're,
you become a star. You become a star because you're you're in Portland, unfortunately, and no one sees you. Get out of there. Next thing you know, you're a big star. And I hope, I'm like you. I kind of hope he goes over there to see more of him. The one thing that I'm not understanding, and I had to write this down, was Zion Williamson ever even being involved, that anyone would, when he plays, he is so good.
Yeah.
When his numbers, I think he's played, I got to remember, 287 games since he's been drafted. He's been scheduled. He's only played like 114 of them.
Woo! So
like I don't know why I'd ever deal for this guy. Seriously, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what I just,
apparently,
and now he's got
Portland wanted Brandon Ingram, and I don't blame him. Ingram was developed, man. He's another guy that's developed and kind of got into a bad situation. He knocked up a stripper, and he had a fling with the OnlyFans chick, and she's been threatening to blackmailing him on Twitter, and he got suspended. And she got suspended.
Zion
he's had some weight problems in his contract, so it seems like he needs to be under a different coaching staff, maybe a different city. He's not really handling this fame and everything too well. So a change could do him good, man. But the problem is his stock is so low, you're not going to get any equal value. That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting from New Orleans, man.
Yeah, I wrote down when he plays, he averages 25 points a game, 7 boards, 60% from the field. I mean, you love that. I mean, this guy, and he's huge.
Has he got 25 a game? Wow.
So 25.8 points a game, and he's only played 39% of his opportunities to play in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, where does he go? Where's he going to go? He's in New Orleans. It's too much for him, right? I mean, he's got a home in Miami, according to the woman that's has the sex tape or something. So where does he end up? You don't want him in New York.
I thought she was in Atlanta.
Yeah, well, she was saying, I read some of the tweets. She's saying, why do you have a house in Miami? I don't know why she said that, but she was like,
oh, wow.
Saying, what are you doing?
She's not even that cute, man. But I digress.
She was getting ready, though, to I mean, I don't know. And I don't even know who I hate to say this, but I don't even know if anyone, do they really care? I don't even know. I mean,
you know something, Jason Whitlock, I love Jason. He said the reason why he's not getting too much smoke from the other players because they've got some of that going on too in their life, and they can't throw stones living in these glass houses, right?
I know. And where could he play? New Orleans is probably a fun city, I'm sure. So New York is going to be trouble.
You know something, Carlos wouldn't like me saying he's Mr. Anti-Thibodeau, but he needs to be under a strong, strict environment where there's some trust there, I think, with the head coach, a Thibodeau, a Miami, somewhere where he can be motivated and push, but not push too hard where he's going to, rebel. He seems like a good guy. So does the Ja Morant. It just seems like they've kind of gotten loose environments, if you ask me.
Yes, and that's a good point. Like, could you imagine? Now, this is just a hypothetical and never. But if you threw Zion with the Celtics instead of Porzingis, you throw Zion. Like I'm saying, he can go somewhere where he doesn't have to be the guy. A little bit. He can. There's other people that take the pressure off of him. and that would probably help him a lot. And
well,
then
if they had a
coaches.
Sam, because now they got Cassell there, who does not mind busting chops there. He's busting chops with James Harden last year, telling him, he said, "Why do you start over? Because you missed, mother effer." I mean, a young coach could never say that,
Right.
3-time champ could.
He could, right? And Zion, that's a good point. Get him somewhere else. Get him healthy. I mean, I guess I don't even know what's some of the injuries. I can't even recall. They're just, and it might be due to the weight and everything. So
and the way he plays with that, with all that torque he puts in those dunks. And you're right, man. He's a fun player to watch. I was always a Ja Morant guy coming out of college. I just think maybe the scouts are so much into the bigger player. It's kind of like the Michael Jordan thing and the Hakeem and Sam Bowie. If you think about, guys like who was it? Blake Griffin being drafted over Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Just the teams want to go with the big. But he was obviously the more skilled player, I thought Ja Morant was.
Yeah, and what was going on? I read a little more about why and I thought the suspension was going to be more, but because some of it I read, who's the 17-year-old he was punching in the face and trying to get rid of his gun at his house? I mean, who was that 17-year-old who beat him in basketball? That had to be outstanding.
That kid's got to be pretty good, right?
Yeah, well, he almost got killed.
It's Stuart Henderson, I think. No,
and then he's going to, then Ja Morant, his mother's at the finish line or whatever at the mall, and then all hell breaks loose.
He's calling him to take up. Yeah, his parents are bad. His mom's a little immature, and his dad wants to be his best friend.
I feel bad. He needs.
What was your thoughts on? I thought that was fair. The more I think about it, I think 25. It's 3 times the last suspension.
Yeah.
I thought maybe a whole season, then a half a season. Then I realized he didn't really technically break any laws.
Right. No, he didn't. No, he really didn't. He just a fool, I guess. Just, you want him to grow up as you're begging him, please. You're not in high school. Stop. Stop this stuff with the gun and all that. I mean, no, he didn't. And you're probably right. That was good enough. It's probably good enough. Yeah. A full year would have been outrageous. There would have been no reason for a full year when we've seen other people haven't gotten full years. So I hope that this has got to be the end. We don't know of any substance abuse. We haven't heard any of that yet.
Well, he did say he was drinking the first time he showed the gun, and he got the 8-game suspension with this other stuff you're talking about. He said he had drank too much that night, and he was acting crazy. Then the second time, he said it was his friend, obviously, and it was a toy gun and all that. But it's like, dude, why would you go Instagram Live when you're just getting off an 8-game suspension? It looks like you're mocking the league.
And Memphis just doesn't have anyone there. You know what I mean? There's just who do you need somebody. You're right. He needs a mentor. He needs something probably. Somehow, some way, Memphis is going to have to do something to bring someone in. I don't even know what. It's too bad because he's fun, right? For a fan,
right.
He's one of the best to watch in the league, and I hope he settles down. I mean, I don't.
Would you trade him to a Miami and let him play off of Jimmy Butler?
Yes. Oh my God, yeah.
And bring in Tyler Hero or somebody, and some picks.
Well, sure. For his career, that would be so good for him to get with Butler and who else? Adebayo, just that whole, and then Spoelstra, just having that
boot camp down there.
Yeah. And those guys know how to win. They know. Look at Butler, how he is, and that would be. Yeah. I think he changes his whole. I don't know. Wouldn't he? I would imagine he changes his whole kind of outlook because he's with those guys, and if he doesn't, then he really is a mess. If he doesn't, fit in with it would be great. Yeah, please. I wish that would be awesome.
Yeah, and I'm out of Nashville. Some of my friends are huge Memphis fans. I mean, I like Memphis. I'm okay with that. Rick Bucher said that with Fox Sports, he said that Zach Taylor, the coach down there, I think that's his name, Zach Taylor, the coach down there with Memphis, he runs too much of a loose ship down there.
Yeah, and this guy, and well, you got kids. I mean, I know he should be an adult, but he's still not that old, and it's just like
he's only like 23 or 24.
I mean, you want him to be better, of course. This is ridiculous, but he needs help. He's got to get some veterans in there that he can look to that are. I'm sure he has guys he looks up to. I mean, you wish you could have like I don't know who would, like I said, Jimmy Butler's perfect. That's a perfect one.
You
Perfect.
wish Steven Adams would talk to him, but I don't know. Maybe he's just not listening.
And that's a weird situation with him too, right? Isn't he's kind of
he's a giant guy, man.
Yeah, I know.
Right. I'd listen if he talked to me. He's a great big old guy, man.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that was interesting here. Let me make sure. Let's see what else we got here, Chief. I didn't want to make sure and not miss any of the basketball stuff. Yeah, yesterday my days have ran together here. Okay, so what's your thoughts on this Stefon Diggs situation? I feel like it's way more than what they're letting on.
Well, it's so. RG3 said something today that was interesting.
Okay.
About he knows for a fact it's a personality issue between him and Allen. And he says he knows this, and he said that, and I remember this during the Bengals game when Diggs was yelling and screaming, on the sidelines, emotional, whatever. They ignored him, and according to RG3, that bothered Diggs a lot that he was ignored. So now Diggs says I need to be more part of the offense. He's had 159 targets, 104 catches, 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns. So unless he's going to be the quarterback, I don't know what more he can get, do.
Put him in the backfield,
And then he wants to it sounds like he wants to be involved in the play calling. I've never heard of this for a wide receiver to be involved in play calling, but he's saying that. And then the Bills themselves, right? McDermott, when he misses the first day of camp, what McDermott said was just unbelievable. He just
tell that to the audience because you were really at all about that. You said something on Twitter like, "Man, why did he say that?"
Right when he said, "I'm very concerned." Wow, I heard that, and the first thing that came into my mind was, "Is he have? What do you mean here? Does he have a drug problem? Is he sick? Is he? What are you talking about? You're very
missing."
Yeah, what do you mean by that? Then Josh Allen starts talking, and that was awkward and terrible. His comments were bizarre, again, almost sounding like the guy was hurt, sick, or something. And that's not the case.
Yeah.
So now he's finally back. The team didn't let him talk to that's another thing. Why didn't the Bills allow Diggs to speak to the media? They didn't let him speak. He hasn't said a word. The Bills are going to be their own worst enemy right here because J.K. Dobbins is not the same as Diggs. He didn't show up to camp the first day. Yeah. And no one said anything. We didn't have this. I think the pressure, we've talked about this before, McDermott, the pressure's on, and I think he showed it there by saying what he said. I also think that there was a time, I don't know if you remember this team, probably you don't because you weren't here. There was a time where the Bills were called the Bickering Bills. It was back with Kelly. That's what this is reminding me of.
Oh, wow. Oh, you're going way back. Okay.
Yeah. It was in the early 90s. It was after the Super Bowl. It was after the Super Bowls. It was after and they were still good. And they were labeled up here the Bickering Bills because they just wouldn't stop fighting each other.
Yeah.
And think about the narrative that was set here, right? Wow. Every time Diggs would, let's say he has a game where he goes 3 for 35 and nothing.
Yeah.
We're going to revisit this every single time. I don't know what's going on, man. I think you're right. And I think the Buffalo Bills organization really botched all this. There was no reason to have such a big if you have this stuff inside, you might want to keep it in there.
Yeah.
You saw the game against the Bengals. You saw what was going on. I talked to a reporter on my podcast who covers the Bills. I had him on.
Wow. Okay.
And,
Let's hear it, bro. This is good stuff.
Not the Buffalo News, but like another newspaper in Western New York. So he covers them. He's in there. He's in the locker room. And I talked to him after the game, after he storms out the whole thing.
Okay.
And he's telling me it's not what it looks like. It's not what it is. It's not all this other stuff. He's trying to tell me that it's not what it seems with Diggs. He's just emotional. It's not it's a lie, all this. And I'm thinking to myself, come on, man. You're just, I know what you're doing. You're kissing their ass. You have to, because you want to stay.
He's drinking that Kool-Aid.
Yeah, you want to stay in the locker room. So I was nice it was funny. I was kind of nice on the podcast.
Take it with a grain of salt.
You're my guest. Then I get on Twitter and I said what I felt. that Diggs is from. I saw what happened with Adam Thielen. I saw the whole thing. This is starting to feel the same way.
Yeah.
This guy jumps on Twitter and now he's getting mad at me, telling me, calm my heels, calm down. What are you talking? Why are you spreading this information? I said, I'm not spreading anything. This is how I feel.
This is my opinion, brother.
Yeah, I'm watching it happen just like it did in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And it's happening again. And now I'm at the point where I almost sometimes don't even blame Diggs anymore. I'm getting to the point where Josh Allen up here, they painted a mural of him with a crown on his head. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And he hasn't won anything. There's a big, and he's been, it's almost godlike stuff. So if Diggs though has a big personality, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so he wants the spotlight. We know he does. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins would work here in a million years. Well, what happened?
He put that out. He said, whoever I go to, I'm going to help your job be easier. And I'm thinking, I wonder if that is some communication, because he says he wanted to go play for the Bills a few months ago.
And then they signed Leonard Floyd, right? The Bills. Yeah. And I don't think they have the money.
Guy. Yeah.
I don't know how they have the cash to bring him in for what he's looking for. I can't see how.
You could make anything happen, and you could,
You'd have to really, yeah. Now, did you hear the thing about Diggs also, that he was upset about his contract being restructured? He wasn't happy there.
What did he say?
He had said that, he said, I wasn't happy. He said, I didn't like it. I didn't like how it worked because they didn't use the money to bring anyone in, he said. So,
yeah.
I mean, what does that mean? I mean, and I didn't realize when they restructure contracts, I didn't know this, that really the player doesn't have much to say about it. The team does it. The player doesn't really, there's no real resistance. It's pretty much, here's what we're going to do. And usually they're good with it. We're going to bring in, according to Diggs, they didn't bring in anything else. They didn't help me. You're not helping. You took my money and you didn't do anything with it, basically.
And he said he has not said anything publicly about DeAndre Hopkins and Von Miller. We talked about the 4 Deion Dawkins or whatever. He said that we want to bring in DeAndre Hopkins. You put Hopkins in the slot and you move Diggs to the outside, and you make Gabriel Davis your deep threat, and you got a really good young tight end in Kincaid. But here's my thing about Diggs. Yeah, going back to Minnesota, this guy's complaining about not getting the ball when they're winning the playoff game against the Saints, John.
Right.
And he pushes his way out of Minnesota. That's why he's even in Buffalo. He's been with Buffalo 3 seasons. My whole thing is he's one of those guys, these diva receivers, that you can't keep him too long. You can't keep Terrell Owens too long. Right. You can't. Who's the other one? And this is kind of like I think he's a cancer. I think he's in stage 3. Guy's he's in stage 4 is Terrell Owens punching Hugh Douglas. Right. Stage 4 is Antonio Brown. Russian Mike Mayock from the Raiders, or going Facebook Live in the Pittsburgh Steelers. He feels like he's very close. Here's my suggestion. See what you think, man. I would trade him to Dallas for CeeDee Lamb. I would give them a pick. I would give him the pick. I would give them Diggs so he could go play with his brother. So he could play with his brother down in Dallas. Give us the young CeeDee Lamb. We'll give you a future 3rd or 4th round pick. Just get him out of here and get his salary out of here. I think that he's so bad. This is what we're seeing. Colin Coward always says, if you're seeing this couple fight in public, what do you think it's like at home?
Right.
And like you said, I think that reporter's covering for him. This guy's he's and I've seen not just that game. You watch a lot of the Buffalo games. I've seen him go crazy on the sideline in other games last year.
Yeah, and there was one reporter here. He had been here forever. He's with the Buffalo News, and he used to ask tough questions. I mean, he was the one who asked the question to Josh Allen about losing. He and it was more Allen didn't. It was on ESPN, and Allen didn't speak and everything else. Well, then the idiot that he is, he goes on a podcast and starts saying how women don't belong in sports, so they had to fire him. It's unfortunate because he was a good. I don't know what got into.
It's a good one. He'd ask real questions.
Yes, and now you got nothing. So, and I don't understand. You know, who is it? What's his first name? Last name is Albright. He's like an NFL insider kind of. I wish I
It
could remember.
sounds familiar. Yeah.
He put out today that Denver wants to trade Cortland Sutton and something, I can't remember what the other thing was, to Buffalo for Diggs. Like, that was actually right out there.
Man, I would telling you, this is what I'm leaning towards. The more I look into this Diggs thing, I already had you guys to win, or you guys, I mean in Buffalo, to win that East. But if they keep Diggs with this, plus McDermott not really doing nothing offensively, I think Miami wins this division now. I mean, I think Diggs could totally run this thing. And part of it is on McDermott.
Yes.
Frazier leaving like that. There's another story out of the Boston Globe, saying that he didn't like the way he's been using the offense. And, you lost your offensive coordinator last year. Frazier stepped down as defensive coordinator because McDermott wants to call plays now. So there's some undercurrent there. And you can't be passive with a guy like Diggs, man.
And you know what's funny here? The Frazier thing where I live was they almost made it sound like he was ill. And he was stepping away like on his own. Like that was the narrative here. Like it was just, he's kind of fading into the sunset. When really you find out, there was issues over the 13 seconds. There was all kinds of issues behind the scenes. Yeah. And then, of course, why is Frazier going to stay there? The head, if he's going to start, he's not going to just stand there while he's calling defensive plays. I mean, it's, what? Game 1, they played the Jets at the Meadowlands on Monday Night Football, I believe.
Right.
Can you imagine if Sauce Gardner shuts him down, they lose? It could just, it'll be interesting.
This could be T.O. all over again, man.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that. I really want Buffalo to win the whole thing. It would be great. They don't deserve it with everything, you've been through in the 90s with Kelly and everything. But you can kind of see this thing tumbling down, man.
Yeah, and I think they waited. I also think you got to understand. I got to give you a little insight to Western.
That's why I brought you on, brother.
Yeah, Western New York is this. Brandon Beane, he's close to God himself, and they're very.
That's the general manager for my audience.
Yeah, this guy they're very wholesome. The Buffalo Bills.
Yeah,
they are such a family. They're very wholesome. They would never ever. Think of even having a Tyreek Hill here or somebody. They're very that's their whole thing. Like they're very, very. They're Notre Dame. They're unbelievable. These guys walk on water.
Yeah,
and I just think they waited. I said this a couple years ago. I thought that I think I might have even told you, McDermott will not be the head coach that brings them to where they want to go. I just feel like he should have been a bridge.
I know. I made that decision after the Cincinnati game. Yeah. He had 3 years to get that running game right. He still ain't got it right.
I'd rather have Doug Peterson there. I'd rather have any of those offensive-minded coaches, bring them in instead of what you have. He has a hard time even with just timeouts. It's really kind of messy.
Gary Kubiak would be good for you right now.
Oh, he would be outstanding.
Yeah.
You'd have a guy like him. I mean, Allen still needs – he's still young too. I mean, I think he's kind of – there's a lot of things that go on here with Allen that aren't reported in the media too. I mean,
don't tell me he's turning into Roethlisberger. Or it's going to his head a little bit.
Well, Applebee's waitresses know him. So, if you want to, just saying.
Presidentes.
Yeah. So, the guy, but he's a young guy. He's running around doing whatever. And
he got a lot of money or quarterback.
Quarterbacks do, whatever. But
so all those statues and crowns.
Yes, he's got a crown on his head. And with Diggs, though, you're right. I think Colin Cowherd says it best. What are they doing behind the scenes if they're screaming like that in front of you?
Right.
That's one of the smartest things I've heard, because that is exactly right. He went so crazy. And I remember watching the game, as you did too, when he was ranting and raving on the sideline. Josh Allen didn't even look at him. He kept his head down and was talking to whomever he was talking to. And when RG3 said that today, I'm like, well, maybe. It is I'm sure he felt like, what the hell? Why aren't you listening to me? I'm trying to help. You know what I wonder too, and you can tell, I feel like Diggs wants to win but then part of his criticism was that here. I'll tell you exactly. Hold on, I wrote it down. Here's what he said. Diggs, RG3 says Diggs believes Allen ignores him in crunch time, especially in the playoffs.
Wow.
So let's think. So in the regular season, though, he gets 159 targets. In the playoffs, there has been time. Like, think about it. That one time Gabe Davis did everything. I think he only had 3 catches. Diggs.
Yeah.
So it's really
you
interesting.
talk about that Kansas City playoff game a few years ago.
Yeah.
At 200 yards. He's probably being shadowed. When I saw him the year before that in Kansas City, I mean, they were guys all over him because I had him in fantasy. I was in a high stakes fantasy game, that playoff game, and I had Diggs, and they had people all over him. What are you going to do?
That's the thing.
He wasn't open.
I'll tell you, the Bengals thing was interesting though. That game, it's snowing, right? Again, it's snowing.
Yeah.
And one of the Bengals defensive backs had said, it might have been Eli Apple. Probably, I think it was.
Yeah, he talks a lot of trash.
That, the Bills, our wide receivers just run straight because we know the defensive backs are going to have a hard time with footing. The Bills, on the other hand, were zigzagging all around. They made it easy for us. I thought that was interesting. Because Eli Apple's not that good, but he had a hell of a game that day. Yeah. And he's telling you, you're just, you're doing too much. And the Bills are just, they're going to end up blowing a good chance because, the window's open just for so long. And, Allen, I hope, he hasn't had any real, other than the thumb, he's been, he hasn't missed many games either. You know what I mean? The Bills have been relatively healthy except for Von Miller, but you had to know Von Miller was going to get hurt. I mean, that's just not if, it's when.
Yes. Well, he's 34. They overpaid him, but I figured if you won the Super Bowl last year, which I thought you would, hey, it's worth it if you win the Super Bowl. You had some dead money there.
They did the Rams thing, and it didn't work. And the crazy thing is here, if the Bills somehow miss the playoffs this year or make it and lose in the first round, I think then finally the fan base will, because right now they are still they're still somehow in the honeymoon period. Man. I'm reading stuff. They are still defending. No, I'd rather
have a radio show or something up there, McDermott.
Yeah. They just Diggs, like they're defending him to no end. Oh my God.
People are still defending Diggs. Oh my God.
Well, I read on Twitter, the bunch of them were saying, I'd rather have the problems I have with Diggs. He just wants to win so badly than have the problems that that Tyreek Hill gives you and all this other crazy stuff.
But I think his issue is not getting the ball. The problem is not winning and losing. The problem is getting the ball and winning.
Yes, and don't. But the thing that's really funny at this point is we saw it coming. If we didn't have Bill's goggles on, you saw it. And it was, I'll tell you what, here in Western New York, I've tweeted it, and then people that I would know from around here flip out, let me tell you this.
Talk about Diggs that way.
I lost Facebook friends over it. That's how insane it gets here because it's small, right? We're so small, small market. I mean, everything the Bills do, I mean, it's all you got. I mean, look at you guys down there in Nashville. You got everything. That is true. We're a big entertainment town here now, and you guys are going to get more. You're going to get basketball, I assume, or something. Maybe
possibly we may get Major League Baseball. That's been talked for a few years. We've got a hockey team too. I don't know anything about it, but we just got a hockey team, and college football's real big down here too.
And you see here we have a hockey team. Okay, they're always played second fiddle to the Bills. After that, there's no college sports here. It's dead. New York State has nothing. Yeah, I mean. It's terrible. University of Buffalo had its moments, but it's all mid-major stuff.
Yeah.
And their basketball team sometimes is okay, college basketball.
You had a good defensive end, didn't you?
Well, they had Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack went to Buffalo. He was
there. And so, I mean, whatever. I mean, so what I'm saying is there's nothing. The downtown Buffalo kind of nice, but it's, it's nothing. You just don't have it. And that's why Josh Allen's perfect here, I think. Yeah. Because where he came from, he didn't need the
Wyoming. I mean, it's perfect. Small town in California, I think, is where he's born.
I give Brandon Beane, the GM, a lot of credit for that pick because he fits this place perfectly. I mean, it doesn't even, and that's good for them. Just, I think you got to watch, like you're saying, Diggs just, I don't know. This has that feeling of, like when, what's his name was here? Who was the running back? Why am I forgetting his name? Damn it, for Seattle. Remember the guy?
He wasn't a good fit there, was he?
Marshawn Lynch.
And straight out of Cal. Y'all drafted him.
He lost it up here. I mean, he was so mad. He said, all they got here is, I forgot what he said. Like, I don't know, he was so angry. Then he hit a woman in his car right down in downtown Buffalo.
Oh.
And they didn't even do anything. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they didn't, they let it go. But I mean, it's insane. There's nothing to do here. And that's all we got. And the people go nuts.
Man, I'm looking for a quote here by Dennis Green. If you want to, I had the soundbite on me. If you want to crown their rear end, their rear end.
Oh, that was my Bears he was talking about. I remember that night.
Yeah, that was the Bears. The Bears ended up going to the Super Bowl that year, so he was wrong, actually.
That was insane. That was the game where I think Devin Hester scored 3 times. He was up by 30, I think.
Yeah, he was coaching Arizona.
Yeah.
We played him in the third game. I mean, I remember the whole rant, man.
Yeah, it was great.
I was going to play it back for you. And I really hope something's done. I don't think I'm being over the top. I hope they can trade Diggs. I think Diggs is going to run your season, man. I really do.
I got to ask you about this because I don't understand it as much as I mean, it makes sense. I know what it means, but like everyone around here we can't trade Diggs because of dead money. If we trade him, there's $29 million of dead money. We're going to be screwed. And that's the kind of things I'm hearing that they can't even do it. But
oh, wow. I mean, you could do it if you try. I mean, you
might
can allocate some money. Josh Allen's got if there's a will, there's a way.
Von Miller's going to be an issue too. I mean, I mean, how many more years does he have left? I'm not sure, but he's not going to finish it. He's not finishing this out. He may not play this year. Who knows when he plays this year, really?
Man, you should have never extended him to the second time.
Leonard Floyd was I liked Leonard Floyd. He was good with the Bears. He was okay with the Rams. He's a good pass rush. I think the Bills play 3-4 still, so that's good. So he can stand up and rush the passer.
Yeah.
Again, a 4-3, he can't do it. And I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of them. I think some part of me thinks even the Jets have surpassed them. I'm not sure though.
I know. And now Mike Greeny and everybody they were talking about, and Adam Schefter with ESPN. I think in Rappaport he mentioned maybe the Jets sign Cook. And maybe perhaps they can bring in Hopkins and Cook. And Cook's already said, hey, I would go play with DeAndre Hopkins. Kind of hitting around. They both want a ring.
The Dolphins want him bad, too. I know, Cook.
Oh, it would be easy to pick the Dolphins. If the Dolphins get Dalvin Cook with that zone block and running scheme, with that defense, with Jalen Ramsey at cornerback, the extra weight that Tua's put on, man, the Dolphins could do something, man. They may go deep in the playoffs.
You know what else?
Maybe put them as the winners there, and the Patriots may get Hopkins. I mean, Buffalo could finish last, man.
You never know.
This thing could fall off the rails.
It could, and they're setting it up for their own failure. I don't understand why they didn't rein it in a little bit and not have that incredible quote. That quote starts all of this, to be honest with. Think about it. When he says, I am really concerned, it blew up. Where I don't think we would have had this discussion yet. Maybe we would have in the season. Yeah. But you just kind of lit a fire. And now ESPN's on it. RG3 saying what he's saying. So the cat's out of the bag, right? And let game 1 in the Meadowlands, and the Jets are Aaron Rodgers' first game in New York or wherever.
If Rodgers don't tweak that calf injury again, they're going to be tough, man. They got a really good defense up there.
And Gardner shuts down Diggs. He has.
Gardner's best rating as a cornerback as a rookie last year.
And he doesn't. They are good. They're good. It's a great division. The only thing I'll say about New England that I can't understand, they have just done nothing but want to get rid of Mac Jones. They've done nothing but every step of the way pretty much been looking for anyone else but him. So that's an interesting.
Yeah, I did read something that they tried to trade for. Who was it they tried to trade for? That was a rumor the other day.
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah.
And Rodgers said no. Yeah. So I mean, they just continually, dump on this guy.
But they brought in Bill O'Brien, that Traquan Thornton kid. I think he's going to take another step, and they still maybe the odds I read today that they're favored to get Hopkins.
Wow, well, that would be something. I mean, they still have a good defense,
man. That and the AFC North, that's murder's row right there.
Remember, we thought last year it'd be the West, and it didn't figure out. But the East and the North, it's gonna. I can't wait. You said it to me the other day. I can't wait for football. Yeah,
man. Yeah. Yeah, so, these summer days run together, man. My bad.
Oh, don't worry. I know the feeling. It doesn't stop.
Yeah, the finals are over with. It's that long wait between now and Labor Day weekend, and then the week after Labor Day.
Watch the Reds. Wow, they've won 11 in a row. And that De La Cruz, the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh,
they've
won
11 straight. Yeah. And this kid De La Cruz is what a star he is. He is.
Yeah. I mean, the Braves are playing well. I'm close to Atlanta, and a lot of Atlanta fans, and I'm going to talk about the Braves. This Brave group may be better than the '90s core because they've already won the World Series. Remember, the '90s core they lost in '91. They didn't win to 95, but between '91 and '95, there's just one failure after another. Right. They finally beat Cleveland in a shortened season that year. I've been reading the Reds have been red hot.
Arizona,
Bay.
Arizona's in first place.
Arizona, low money teams.
I'm happy. You know what? And Baltimore's playing great.
Yeah.
And the Yankees are not. They are really.
But they always heat up in July, though. Always.
I'm going to tell you this, and this team, they are. I watch them a lot, and it's just not. It's not enjoyable. They're just not. They're very. Josh Donaldson batting 140. I mean, there's just and I don't know how one guy in baseball makes that big of a difference in Aaron Judge. It's really something because I'll tell you what.
Is he injured again?
Oh yeah, he hurt when they were out in L.A. He made a great catch, but for some reason the wall broke and he got turf toe, and he hasn't played since.
Oh,
he has not played a game, and they haven't won. They haven't won much.
I remember when Josh Donaldson was hitting 320, 330. He was great with the Blues. Was it the Blue Jays he used to play with?
MVP. Yeah.
Yeah, that dude, man. What's in his head?
One last thing, and I'll tell you, in my mind, watch the guy batting a Rays, Arraez for Luis for Florida. He's batting 400. He's gone.
Oh yeah. I read that the other day. So you read a lot of stuff on Twitter too.
Yeah. He's had five hit games. He's gonna bet it's gonna happen, right? I think
that was prediction with this moving the you cannot make shifts. The pitch clock, it helps guys get in rhythm. Somebody could hit 400 because of the lack of shifting. The shift bands. We could have another Ted Williams out here this year.
For the first
time. Or in the future. I don't know if this guy's going to hold up. I hope he does. That'd be great.
He's a hell of a hitter. It's fun. I just now because hockey's done, basketball's done, I'm starting to surf around watching other games, and it's a good year for baseball in a lot of ways. I think they did a smart thing. They did speed the game up. I will give them that.
I love that, man.
I just want to stop the extra inning nonsense. You can't put a ghost runner on second.
Nobody likes putting the guy on second to start the extra.
It's got to stop because I
haven't found somebody that does like that. I mean, I'm okay with it. I like to speed up everything.
Right.
I like to watch the games. I'm recording and speak through the commercials when I was.
Yeah. No, I hear you. You gotta. It's just like you play these games and then you do that. They do it. You know what? They do it and you don't watch it. They do it in the NHL. It's the same thing and it pisses me off.
Oh, wow. Really?
It would be like ending a basketball game, having a free throw contest.
Oh, God, no. Yeah.
Let's end it.
Penalty kicks in hockey or soccer.
Or in football. Let's instead, what we're going to do? It's a tie game. Let's just have field goal kicker. Let's see.
Oh, that would be terrible.
But they do it in hockey and they do it in baseball. And it's really dumb. And thankfully, though, both sports have never put it in their playoffs. If they ever did that, I think we'd be done.
You got anything you need to plug, John?
Yeah, Friday we'll be doing Spitball and Sports podcast.
8 p.m. Eastern?
Yep. And then I'm also doing, it's a
Or no,
hockey thing.
6 o'clock Eastern. I'm sorry.
6 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah.
And then I'm also doing a hockey podcast called Let's Talk Sport, Pucks. Let's Talk Pucks with Jim Behringer. And we kind of just whenever do something and we put it out. So it's
Okay.
all hot. It's all NHL hot. And that's
Nice. Tom Behringer? No, I'm kidding. I kid. Hey, man, have a good one, and I cannot wait to this draft tomorrow, man. I'm curious to see who picks up this other guy. We know Wembanyama, but man, that guy's. I think he's all that, dude. I think he's all that. I don't think he's.
No, he looked like Ralph Sampson to me when he threw out the
Ralph
first pitch.
Sampson, very skilled, probably more skilled than the Sampson had that height, though. I mean, I was reading about Sampson. I'm surprised that him and Akeem didn't get anything done earlier, but you know, hey, Celtics and Lakers were money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna have to. I'll get to you because we need an appearance on Spitball and Sports.
You
so
got it, man.
send you a message.
Especially the closer we get to football season.
Definitely, because we got to talk to Scott.
I'll throw those Bills under the bus for your audience.
Well, yeah, and you got to talk to Scott because he has the Bills flag right behind him, so that'll be fun.
Well, I just want to see you guys win. I feel like you deserve it. I mean, Denver Nuggets have won, the Milwaukee Bucks. I'd like to see the Cleveland Browns and the Buffalo Bills win, and the Titans at some point.
Right? Yeah. Well, if you watched hockey, you would know. Yeah, I know you didn't get into it about the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's sad, but anyhow, hope for them to win someday. Before I only got, how many more years do you have left?
Maple Leafs. Yeah, you're a Maple Leafs fan too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're practically down the street from you.
They're right across the street. Yeah, I'm looking at them. All right.
John Restano, everybody. Have a good one, buddy. I'll see you around.
Yep.
I'll tag it, man.
Thank you.
Let's see. I'll move John, and I'll put this. Thank you all, and I'll be back tomorrow, same time here on Sports Scope. Plenty to talk about.